More than 20 years ago, the wife of the Saudi king fled from him, thinking she would finally find freedom. But the king's revenge was far too cruel. For all those years, the woman fought to save her adult daughters who were held under guard by the king's command. The princesses lived under unthinkable restrictions for years, kept in absolute isolation and subjected to forced medical treatment. In despair, Al Anoud went to the Saudi embassy in London and demanded the release of her children. Why did she really run away from the king? What happened to this woman and her daughters? And how did one of the most terrifying stories in the Saudi royal family end? Watch this video until the end to learn the truth that was hidden for 20 years. Al Anoud al-Fayez was born in Jordan in 1957, into one of the most influential families in the Middle East. When she had just turned 15, her uncle arranged her marriage to Prince Abdullah, the future king of Saudi Arabia. He was nearly 50. Al Anoud had never seen him before the wedding. She was simply brought there and married off. Over the course of his life, Abdullah married about 30 times. In total, he had more than 35 children. Al Anoud became another very young wife in a huge palace, where her husband appeared for only a few hours a week and then left to be with others. She gave birth to 4 daughters. Those 4 girls became Al Anoud's only reason to live in a marriage where she had no love, no attention, and no voice. But she never gave birth to a son. Abdullah placed enormous importance on male heirs, and the fact that his wife never gave him a son became for him a final sentence. He lost interest in her. Al Anoud did not even know that her marriage was over. She found out about the divorce by accident 2 years later, but she still could not leave. In Saudi Arabia, a woman without permission from a male guardian cannot leave the country, get a job, or even receive medical care. And her guardian remained her former husband. At the same time, the king was seen as a reformer. He allowed women to vote, study at universities, and work. The world praised him for progress. But later, everyone would learn the truth about how he really treated his own family. And it had nothing to do with that image. The daughters grew up as princesses. The best schools, vacations in the Alps, summers in Europe. By Saudi standards, their father gave them incredible freedom, something their mother never had, but they did not know that they would soon lose it forever. Years passed. Al Anoud still lived in the palace, divorced, unwanted, but locked inside. Her daughters had long since grown up. The woman decided that if she did not leave now, she would never leave. One night, with help from one of Abdullah's guards and a human rights organization, Al Anoud escaped from the palace, made her way to the airport, and boarded a plane to London. Behind her were more than 20 years of a life she had never chosen. She wanted to take her daughters with her, but their passports were kept by their father, and without permission from a guardian, they could not cross the border. Al Anoud tried to calm herself down. Her daughters were not in danger. They were adults, they were princesses, they had status and position at court. But she was wrong. Abdullah's reaction to the escape was immediate. He did not go after his former wife. Instead, he struck at what Al Anoud loved most in the world. Her 4 daughters became hostages to one goal, forcing their mother to return. She had no idea that after she left, her daughters would become hostages of circumstance. By their father's command, they were deprived of basic comforts, kept in a state of forced lethargy, and had their spirits systematically broken in an attempt to force their mother back to the life she had fled. They were confined within a decaying villa, 2 daughters in one wing, 2 in the other, with no way to see one another. These were not golden suites. The villa was crumbling, the pipes were leaking, the windows were shattered, and the walls were covered in mold. It was no palace, it was total isolation. Next to the villa, a watchtower with surveillance cameras was built, and the doors were locked from the outside. The sea came right up to the house, but fishing nets were set in the water in case someone tried to swim away. A classmate of one of the daughters later wrote about them in her essay, calling them beautiful, depressed debutantes in a marble mansion. She said that at night, The four sisters loved racing through the desert in black jeeps while listening to Mariah Carey. And then she saw those same girls on the news, shadows of their former selves begging the world for help. The daughters did not stay silent even in captivity. All four sisters openly criticized the position of women in Saudi Arabia, even though the whole world praised their father as a reformer of women's rights. For the king, that became one more reason to make the punishment even harsher, so he could hide the truth from the outside world. What was really happening behind the walls of that villa became known to the world only because of one man. And the truth shocked everyone. In 2008, Dr. Dwight Burdick, an American physician serving the Royal Medical Service, received a direct command: enter the princess's quarters and administer forced sedation to ensure her silence, even against her will. Burdick came from Texas to Saudi Arabia back in the 1990s. He was drawn by big money and exotic life. He and his wife converted to Islam and sincerely came to love Arab culture. Until that call, he had no idea what was happening behind the palace walls. He ascended the staircase and found a young woman waiting at the top. It was Hala. Italian pop music drifted from the room. Burdick refused to perform the procedure and instead simply began to talk to her. Later, Burdick examined the medical records of all four sisters. He was shocked to find that each had been simultaneously prescribed 4 different medications designed to suppress their will. Another court physician began calling the sisters Rapunzels, trapped in a tower, completely severed from the outside world. Burdick tried to help. He suggested sending 2 of the sisters to a rehabilitation clinic in California for treatment. The response from the royal court was short. They would never leave Saudi Arabia. The doctor was told that if he valued his safety, he should never raise that subject again. He could not get them out, but he could at least feed them. Leftovers from royal banquets were usually given to the staff. Burdick began collecting them and secretly bringing them to the sisters. Leftovers from the king's dinner became the only normal food his daughters had. Al Anoud in London did not stay silent all those years. She made many attempts to save her children, through lawyers, through official appeals, through personal channels. Nothing worked. By 2014, she decided to go public. She stood outside the Saudi embassy in London with signs, gave an interview to a television channel, with her face covered because she feared the consequences, and wrote an open letter to Barack Obama, who was just about to visit Abdullah in Riyadh. She asked for only one thing: tell him to let my daughters go. The Washington Post and the New York Times refused to publish that letter. The topic was too delicate, and Saudi Arabia was an ally and an oil supplier. But journalist Fatima Manji managed to make a video call with 2 of the daughters. It happened on the very day Obama was meeting with Abdullah 500 miles away from them. For the first time in 10 years, the world saw the princesses and they said on camera, "We are hostages. Our father is responsible for everything. It is shameful to meet with such a leader." The trap had finally snapped shut. Following their mother's protest at the Saudi embassy in London, the daughters' confinement grew even harsher. After her interview, their final comforts were stripped away, and after the video report, they were deprived of every basic necessity, left in absolute isolation without any support whatsoever. Every public step Al Anoud took gave the king a reason to make the punishment even harsher. If she stayed silent, nothing changed. If she spoke out, conditions for her daughters worsened. The Saudi embassy in London answered all press questions with one phrase: "This is a private family matter." Shortly before his death, Abdullah told his daughters directly, "Your situation will never change, and when I die, your brothers will continue it." These were not angry threats. It was an order. In January 2015, Abdullah died. Many hoped that the new king, Salman, would free the sisters. Nothing like that happened. Up to that point, the daughters had still been using Twitter accounts. That was their last line of contact with the outside world. Sahar posted photos of the villa's crumbling walls, appeals to world leaders, and cries for help. messages of support poured in from all over the world. And then, right after Abdullah's death and Salman's rise to power, all 4 accounts were deleted at the same time. From that day on, not a single message, not a single call, no signs of life at all. Complete silence. In 2021, Dr. Burdick, who was already in his 80s by then, learned from people he knew in Saudi Arabia that Hala had died. The same Hala who had stood at the top of the stairs and listened to Italian music. The royal court released a short statement, an unnamed chronic illness, and nothing more. 6 months later, another daughter, Maha, died. The palace said nothing at all. Her death was only briefly mentioned on social media by King Abdullah's humanitarian foundation. About the 2 remaining daughters, Sahar and Jawahir, nothing has been known for more than 10 years. Some believe they are no longer alive either. Some still hope they are hidden somewhere. No one knows for sure. Today, Al Anoud al-Fayez is almost 70. She still lives alone in London. She has not seen her daughters for 23 years, since the time of her escape. 2 daughters are already dead. About the other 2, she does not know whether they are alive. She escaped from one of the most powerful men on the planet and thought she had saved herself. But her escape became the beginning of a chain of events that destroyed the lives of 4 women. King Abdullah died 11 years ago, but his revenge is still here. What do you think? Was Al Anoud's escape worth the price her daughters paid for it? Write your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. See you again soon.